Hello everyone. Today, I'd like to introduce a romantic Korean movie to you. It's about a suicidal man turned castaway on Bamsham in the Han River. He made a bowl of fried noodles with corn from bird poop. Castaway on the moon. At the beginning of the story, Mr. Kim lost his job. He was unable to pay more than 1.6 million of bank loans. He stood on the Han River Bridge and wanted to jump off to say goodbye to the beautiful world. But he was brought to a beach by waves. The bridge was on the opposite side, and the mobile phone was in water, so shut down quickly. He had only a shoe. He couldn't even die. So angry. If he jumped from the opposite 63-story building, it was going to be a hell of a death. But he couldn't get out. What was the matter? Actually, he was trapped on a small island in the middle of the river. He couldn't conquer the tall and smooth pillars. He spent one night under the bridge. There was no less sadness. Seeing a ship coming, he tried to call for help. However, the tourists thought they were greeting him. Then he wrote down his distress letters on the shore. After one day and one night, the mobile phone could turn on. He asked 911 for help, but they thought he was playing a prank. Then he called his girlfriend. He said he won't contact her anymore. Why call again? He made a few calls, but he couldn't call anyone. Finally, his phone was out of power. What to do now? Just swim in one breath. As a result, he was almost drowned in the middle of the river. In the struggle, he saw the scenes that he was rejected by the interviewer and abandoned by his girlfriend. He went back to the shore again and wanted to hang the southeast branch by himself. But he still didn't have the courage for the rest of his life. He had not eaten for a day and night, so he ate a bite of roadside wildflowers, and he was moved to shed tears. He asked himself that he had done nothing bad in his life. Why should he be choked by life? If he couldn't go out, he could live on the island. It was deceptive to make fire out of wood. In practice, the light came the fastest. He threw away all the credit cards in his wallet. He was only a river away from the city. It was like being abandoned by the whole world. The next day, he began to collect useful waste. He found a duck-shaped paddle for his bed. The first time he went fishing, he couldn't tell his toes from the fish. He almost hurt his toes. He was tired of mushrooms. So he climbed trees to get eggs. It was not easy to climb to the bird's nest, but they were fresh for him. He had not washed his hair for a long time. He killed a fish in the river, then he finally had got a roast fish dinner. Took a breath, it was so delicious. It was absolutely good dining. After eating and drinking, he had a good sleep on the flowers. It was such a very comfortable day. Meanwhile, there was an autistic girl in the apartment across the river. She had never left the door. The room was full of cans and garbage. The narrow space in the closet was where she slept. Every day after her mother left, she went to the bathroom secretly. A bag of plain noodles was her lunch. She ran 6,000 steps to help digestion and blow fresh air. In the evening, she took some pictures of the moon with a telescope. That was a busy day for her. 2 air defense exercises every spring and summer. She held up her helmet and waited patiently, and then opened the curtains. There was no one on the street, and she liked it. It was as if the whole body was floating on the moon. She accidentally caught the sign for help left on the shore when she took a photo that day. There was also the picture of Mr. Kim, which made her fall to the ground. Was it an alien that had arrived on the Earth? On the island, Mr. Kim had a good time. A ship passed by, and he no longer bothered to call for help. Found a place to hide and didn't want to be disturbed. Just at that moment, he stepped on the packet of the noodle. The attractive picture on the packet was delicious. There was also a small packet of seasoning inside. Suddenly he felt that the barbecue in his hand was no longer fragrant. When he slept at night, he dreamed of the delicious fried noodles. The temptation of delicious food made his whole life full of vitality. He found a pile of ingredients and mashed them up. But it couldn't be made into flour. What he regretted most at that time was why had he never had a decent fried noodle since childhood. A lot of bird poops were left on the duck's bedroom. He grabbed some for watching and suddenly got a feeling. Birds like to eat crops, and there must be indigestible seeds in their poops. It was possible to use bird poops to plant. He was excited as a baby when he thought of it. He started collecting those poops and then renewed the wasteland. After several twists and turns, he finally got his own land. When he was sweating, he suddenly felt the sweat was fragrant. He made a scarecrow out of his clothes and chatted with him. And all those were filmed by the girl across the river. In her imagination, Mr. Kim was a lonely alien who had a special love for mixed sauce noodles. She was still a little excited about the idea of making a living and helping him. The girl dressed up and sneaked out under the eyes of the security guard. When a car came, she immediately covered herself with a parasol. She came to the bridge and threw the bottle out, and waited for the reply from Mr. Kim. 3 months passed in a flash. Mr. Kim had already changed from a spiritual boy to a hairy savage. The ability to climb trees was also perfect. A bird's egg and a cup of tea every morning added some natural sweat. It was delicious. Noon was the working time. Didn't waste the sweat. He collected and ate with barbecue. The girl would be greedy and cry. The seeds had already grown up. He seemed to see the mixed noodles beckoning to him. On that day, when he went to the woods to check the waste, he suddenly found a glass bottle. There was a piece of white paper inside. The words hello were written in the corner. Was it the English word he wrote on the shore? Did someone keep looking at him? Since someone greeted him, he immediately responded. After waiting for 3 months and 17 days, the girl finally got a reply. How are you was written on the shore. At night, the girl came to the bridge again and dropped the bottle. When she came back, she was attracted by the wildflowers and butterflies on the roadside. So the whole world was very beautiful. Mr. Kim received the bottle again. It said fine, thank you, and you. The girl's heart was happy, because Mr. Kim also responded on the shore. What made him happier was the corn he had planted for more than 3 months finally reaped. He thought he would be able to eat fried noodles soon. How happy he was. The girl saw that Mr. Kim loved fried noodles so much. So she called a delivery guy and gave the money to him through the crack in the door. The delivery guy complained while rowing. He had never seen such a delivery address. He had even broken his legs. After months of not seeing humans, Mr. Kim was flustered. He pretended that it was out of sight. The delivery guy put all kinds of sauce noodles on the ground. But when Mr. Kim saw it, he gave all the noodles back to the delivery guy. Why? The girl who watched in secret was crying. The delivery guy sent the noodle back. He told the girl that a bowl of mixed sauce noodles was the man's hope. He didn't want to break that hope, so he sent it back. The girl was deeply touched by this. Hope was the biggest support for everyone to survive. She finally plucked up the courage to walk out of the room. She also told her mother she wanted some corn seeds. Seeing the change of her daughter, the mother was too surprised to say anything. Later, Mr. Kim received a letter from the girl. She said, I am sorry. Mr. Kim immediately looked like a happy little fish. In response to the girl, the two reached a settlement. In the sunny afternoon, Mr. Kim finally had a harvest day. He mixed the ingredients together. From seed to corn, Mr. Kim had been busy for several months. Today he finally made a bowl of traditional sauce noodles. The noodles were ready, and the seasoning packet that had been sealed for a long time was also good. After the ingredients were all ready, they must be perfectly decorated. The more precious the delicacy, the more plain the appearance was. The corn noodles were stirred back and forth with chopsticks. It was perfectly mixed with the seasoning. It exuded a familiar and long-standing flavor. He didn't know what it was like when he first ate it, but he ate it again. It was absolutely noodles. At that time, what he was eating was not noodles, but hope. The girl saw this scene and couldn't sleep. She finally came out of the wardrobe and went to the living room to sleep. To protect the corn she grew, that was her hope. On the shore, Mr. Kim asked the girl who she was. The girl chose a picture and wanted to send it to Mr. Kim. But in the end, there was no courage. Mr. Kim was in the woods to find the girl's reply, but there had been no news of the girl. It wasn't long before the super typhoon hit the island. His home and vegetable fields were destroyed. Even the big fat duck left him. The sea was its free destination. It had better not look back. As soon as the girl woke up, she saw if Mr. Kim was still alive. He didn't care about what he lost. He just wanted to know who that girl was. The river rangers found this place. Mr. Kim tried to escape, but he was finally arrested. He wanted to stay here and wait for the girl's reply. The staff took him ashore and thought he was still on the street as a tramp. The girl saw it all from the camera. The whole body, like Mr. Kim, seemed to be hollowed out. She plucked up her courage to open the door. She ran to the street for the first time, looking for Mr. Kim. When she came to the park, she only saw the old slippers left by Mr. Kim. Without hope for surviving, Mr. Kim returned to the original point. He took a bus to the 63-story building and continued to commit suicide. The girl ran after the bus. Without Mr. Kim, her life came also back to the original point. But the bus started, slowly disappeared in front of her. The girl was in tears because she didn't give an answer to Mr. Kim. It would be a mistake she would never make up for in her life. Then, the air defense suddenly sounded. The traffic and people stooped. The girl wept with joy and ran in the direction of the bus. Under the brilliant light of the sun and the moon, the girl finally broke free from the shackles of autism. Welcome to her spring. She finally caught up with the bus and met Mr. Kim, who was going to commit suicide. She told him her name. A warm current burst into his heart. This cold city, finally, let Mr. Kim feel the warmth of the whole summer. At the end of the movie, the bus started again. Mr. Kim grabbed the girl who almost fell down. A failed old man who was determined to die and a lonely girl who never dared to see people. Holding on to each other at this moment. What awaited them would be a life full of happiness. This movie is called Castaway on the Moon, tell the story of a man seeking death but accidentally harvesting love. It also tells us, there are always ups and downs in life. As long as we face it positively, there will always sunny days after rain. If you like Harry, please subscribe and see you next time.